Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Karim Serageldin answering your online questions. Sister submitted a question entitled, Husband cheated on me and it's my fault. Alright, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Number one, if anybody out there has ever experienced an affair, the first thing you need to do is not blame yourself fully. Understanding why your husband cheated on you, sister, is not the same thing as accepting it as an excuse. There's never an excuse for having an affair. No matter how hard things get, we still have to live up to our dedication and our commitment as a married couple. So I was very alarmed when you had this in your title of your question, that you really believe it's your fault. Now, granted, you did say that you're not necessarily the type of person who desires sexual intercourse with your husband as frequently as he does, but that still doesn't give him an excuse. That could actually, if anything, be a catalyst for you two to improve and invest in your sexuality together. So that's number one. Now, in order to address this question, you have to recognize that the healing process is going to require two phases. The first phase is about rebuilding trust, and the second phase is about enhancing your intimacy and sexuality and your connection overall. The first phase of rebuilding trust is going to require responsibility and action items from both of you. So I'll first address your husband and then you, the sister. Number one, your husband has to first take full responsibility for the hurt and harm that he has caused you and his family by his actions. This first step is necessary because it demonstrates his humility and sincerity to really want to heal and change for the better. And that's not going to happen unless he recognizes that regardless of his reasons, he did cause a huge disaster in your marriage and in your family. The second action item that your husband has to recognize is the only way you are going to gain trust with him again is by getting trustworthy actions from him. In other words, he needs to give you constant assurances and attempts to rebuild that trust and show that he is really trying to be an honest man from now moving forward. So how does this look like in real life? Well, number one, the reason why you don't feel you can trust him is because you don't feel secure about his whereabouts and where he is when he's not at home, because clearly that's how affairs happen. So your husband is going to need to call you from work as frequently as needed for now. He's going to have to limit his outside interactions or going out and being out late, because that can cause you a lot of suspicion and paranoia. When he does come home, he needs to be able to talk to you about his day in detail. Clearly, if he comes home and every day you say, how was your day, what was going on, what happened, and he just says nothing or I don't want to talk about it, that's going to make you have doubt and paranoia. So he will have to get in the habit of doing this for now. Third is he's going to need to make intentions and efforts to spend more time with you and the family. Because again, the more you feel like he is in your radius and you can confirm exactly where he is and what he's doing, you're going to start to feel that trust and security being rebuilt. And lastly, your husband has to recognize that he needs to be willing to answer whatever questions you have regarding his whereabouts or what he's doing, because this is how you're going to rebuild trust. If you don't get these answers from him directly, then it's very easy for your imagination and your paranoia to basically start to fill in the blanks and make a lot of assumptions which may not even be accurate half the time. But this can only be established if you have clarity around what he's doing. Thus, you need to be able to ask him what questions you need, and he has to make sure that he responds. Now, both of you have to recognize that there will be ups and downs during this healing process. Recovering from an affair is a very difficult thing, and some couples actually don't recover. That's a fact. You know, I'm being honest. Sometimes it just doesn't, it's not able to go back to the way it was. And this is something that may happen. So you both have to prepare for that. However, if you really want to make this work, you have to recognize that there will be ups and downs along the way, i.e. there's going to be days where you just don't feel good about him, you remember what happened, and you're not going to feel, you know, solid in your marriage. There's also going to be times where he may not want to feel like he has to keep giving you these assurances and rebuilding your trust, because he's just getting tired of constantly needing to prove that he's a trustworthy, honest man. However, that's on him because he put you in this situation in the first place. The responsibilities for you, the wife, in rebuilding trust is the following. Number one, you have to also do your part in trying your best to accept his reassurances and truly believe him when he is giving you that data. In other words, if you constantly question and doubt everything he is trying to do to rebuild your trust, then you're never going to rebuild it. So you also have to be open and able to receive the attempts that he is making to rebuild his trust, and especially when you really feel that he has been remorseful and regrets what happened in a sincere and genuine way. Number two, for you, the wife that has been cheated on, you also have to recognize that when you ask questions, only ask questions that you really want to know the truth about. Because if you're not ready to accept or hear the responses, and you know that some of them will really hurt you, then sometimes it's better not to ask a lot of details, but maybe get overall general data in order to give you that daily assurance. But if you do ask more details or ask specific things, especially about the past event of the affair, you have to recognize that that will likely be accompanied by hurt, and it may actually make you go backwards rather than forwards. Third, sister, you have to remember that even though this was a huge sin, you also have to do your best and your part not to use this sin and throw it back in his face at some point in the future. So whether it's a month from now, 6 months from now, or 3 years from now, this is not going to be useful for your long-term healing process, because we know from an Islamic perspective as well as from a human science perspective, if we keep bringing up our problems or mistakes or blemishes from the past, then we never really feel like we can move forward because we're so stuck in the past. So you have to make sure that no matter what, you do your best never to throw this back into his face in the future, especially if he has been doing his part and you guys are rebuilding your trust. So what this means is, sometimes with female psychology, because of the way the brains are generally wired, everything is interconnected. So one time when you feel like he's falling short in some other aspect of the marriage, for example, let's say paying the bills or cleaning up around the house, sometimes women will feel frustrated about this item, but then it will charge up and trigger all the other things that bother them or they may feel upset about. And so that's why this tends to happen in relationships where, as they say, you throw the whole kitchen sink at him. And the man is just going, where is this all coming from? You're talking about vacuuming, and now you're bringing up the affair that happened 3 years ago. So you have to be very careful about doing this, because when you do that, you're going to re-trigger a lot of the pain and hurt for both of you, and you may actually cause a huge setback in your progress. So to summarize, I hope that you realize, both of you, that this will take time. It could take years. And in order to really absorb the emotional impact that this has caused, you have to give yourself time to heal. And this could also be accelerated if you go seek out professional support like a counselor or a therapist in your area, so that you guys can have a consistent and safe space to be able to flush out the impact and the damage that this affair has caused. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy on both of you, and remember that there is no excuse to have an affair, but it is important for us to understand why it happened, and this would lead us to the second phase, which I hope that if you see a professional counselor, you'll be able to rebuild that together. And what this means is, there are reasons why you guys lost this connection and this intimacy, and so in order to ensure that that won't happen again after you rebuild your trust, you need to make sure that you tune up those aspects of your intimacy and sexual relationship so that both of you feel that it's satisfying and secure and safe. And inshallah, this will help the long-term sustainability of your marriage. I hope this was helpful, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy on both of you to recover and to heal and keep your family together, and learn from this, inshallah, to become a stronger couple. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.